千里の道も一足ずつ運ぶなり。
It took 3.5 years, and a global pandemic sort of got in the way, but the Overwatch League recently staged its 1,000th match. That was the Paris-Vancouver match on July 3rd, which Paris won 3-0, and you might be asking, how many times has the final score been 3-0? Okay, you probably never asked that because you're not a maniac. I am, though, and I wonder about these sort of things. They keep me up at night. Seriously, I was once thinking about something related to owl stats and finally figured out while I was lying in bed at like 3 a.m., so I hopped out of bed and went to my computer to run some numbers and scared the hell out of my partner. But anyway, 1,000 matches. That is a lot. But anyway, 1,000 matches. That's a lot, and I did figure out how many 3-0 and even 4-0 or 2-1 or whatever matches there have been in those first 1,000, as well as a bunch of other info I found interesting, so take a seat and I'll toss it all at you. First, let's take a look at the overall standings through those first 1,000. It's no surprise that the Shock were the number one team in terms of total wins, winning percentage, and maps won. It also played the most games, but have since been surpassed by the Dragons. Still, and this is a way of thinking about all this that I like to use a lot, it means that if you watched a random Owl match out of the first 1,000, you had a 13.1% chance of seeing the Shock. They've been in more than 1 out of every 8 contests. What else? How about the fact that Vancouver has never drawn a map? What else? How about the fact that Vancouver has never drawn a map? Despite roughly 1 in 22 hybrid and assault maps resulting in draws, Vancouver has never done it. Maybe that's what they should need to do to get breadsticks. Alright, now let's take a look at maps. In the first 2 years, every regular season match went 4 or 5 maps, so that's why over half of all games went 4 maps. You only saw 3-map games in the playoffs, but now they're pretty common. In fact, I think there's a pretty good chance we'll have more 3-map games than 5-map games by the end of the season. And the question of how many 3-0s we've seen, well, it's 237. And if you're wondering why that doesn't jive with the 196 in the other chart, that's because some of those 3-0 scores included drawn maps. Here's something else to consider. How long will it be before we see another 2-1 score? That's not possible under current rules, but they've changed before and probably will again. Meanwhile, just like with draws, Vancouver has never been involved in a reverse sweep. How about players? I won't go through all these lists, but let's pour one out for Jonak. He's like the Ernie Banks or Dan Marino of Owl, playing a ton, putting up great numbers, winning an MVP, but never getting over that playoff hump. He's actually lost more playoff maps than he's won, and if there's ever an Owl Hall of Fame, he'll be a shoo-in inductee, but you still have to feel bad for the guy. Finally, here are just some random trivia and streaks and records and other stuff through 1,000 games. Now, I should point out that Chengdu is no longer the bottom team in terms of bonus money thanks to their performance in the Summer Showdown. That's now Toronto at $45,000. Shanghai is maybe making to look a run at Vancouver's record for consecutive victories. They currently stand at 11 and could get there by the end of the season if they keep winning. Oh, and one thing that I think is neat, Vancouver's 19-game winning streak record applies both to regular season and combined regular season playoff matches, but they don't exactly cover all the same games. You see, Vancouver won its first 14 regular season and 5 playoff games before losing in the Stage 2 finals in 2019. Then it won 5 more regular season games before losing to the Valiant. If one of those two things hadn't happened, one of those streaks would be 19, but the other one wouldn't. Well, I think it's neat. But as we realized earlier, I'm kind of a maniac. If you enjoy stats like this and want to see more, check out my website, owlstats.net, where I have sortable tables for a lot of the info you saw here, so you can look up all kinds of stats for players, teams, records, and so on. You can also follow me on Twitter at owlstatsnet, and let me know in the comments what you thought of this video and if you'd like to see more like it in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and here's to another 1,000 or more Overwatch League matches.